Hi everyone, and welcome to Biology Prep, which is CALS 4014, and we're obviously in our spring term. So I'm Dr. Sarah Wrigley McDonald. I'm the instructor for this course, and I'll be the one talking to you every week in our tutorial and through our YouTube mini lectures. The purpose of this video is to give you a bit of a tour of the contents of the course, the different resources available for you, and to give you an idea of what you can expect. So what you're seeing right now is the home page for the course. So you access this by going through the My UMB website and into D2L, and then you'll see your course listed. So I'm going to start with the Start Here folder. So your syllabus is here. So you really should give this a good look over. We'll go through it really quickly together. So there's my email address. You can email me directly through there, or you can also click this icon up here and you can email me that way as well. Either way, it's a private email and I'll respond to you. I do try and respond to all emails within 24 to 48 hours. It doesn't always happen depending on the volume of emails I get through the day. I also don't check emails in the evenings or on weekends, as I try to keep that as family time. So I can book individual appointments with you, and I do that without any set hours because I do have students taking my online courses right around the world, so I set a time based on the availability of the student and myself. Our tutorials are set for Wednesday nights from 8:30 to 9:30, and again that's Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, that's Atlantic Time, starting tomorrow. So we're a little bit late starting this one. So to navigate the course, what I expect you to do is to get your UMB credentials, access D2L, which you've already done, watch your course guide video, which you're doing now, and purchase your textbook. So each week I expect you to read the section of the textbook, which is outlined below, to review the slides and the recorded YouTube tutorial. So in other courses, you have live tutorials that'll go through your lecture material. Instead, in this course, and in all my other courses, I do have full YouTube lectures recorded, and so I've done that for this course as well. So there are workbook pages. They are optional, but again, highly recommended. And then you do have a timed weekly quiz. And so your first quiz is due by Monday next week, and you'll see the due dates when I get to that part of D2L. So again, all course assessment deadlines are on New Brunswick time, which is Atlantic Standard Time. So depending on where you are, that may be the same or it may be different, but just be mindful of that. With the quizzes, they are only available during the specific week, so you have one per week. If you miss it, and you have a good reason for it, maybe you were sick for the week or something happened that slowed you down for a number of days, then I can give you one extension for one quiz. However, if you email me 5 minutes after it's due and say, oh, I forgot, sorry. I'm fairly strict with that. Each quiz is timed for 30 minutes and they're open book. But I do recommend that you study the content before doing the quiz and try to do it without accessing your textbook. This will give you a good idea of how well you know the content, which is really good because your final exam is closed book. So you do have 2 midterms for this course. So both midterms are 1 hour long. They are open book, and you do have a set week that you have to complete them within. So again, the final exam is closed book and invigilated. So this means you have to have someone monitoring the exam to ensure that you're sticking to the rules. You're not accessing your phone, you're not talking to your buddy, right? You're not using anything you're not allowed to use. So invigilation services are free on both the Fredericton and St. John campus, but you do have to book your time slot fairly quickly as we're getting into our summer term and it is our busiest time of year. If you're not near St. John or Fredericton, you can write on another university campus or college campus, but usually there are fees for the invigilation. And so just keep this in mind And there is lots of additional information about this process on D2L, and I'll show you that in a moment. So here's our marking scheme. So we have 10 quizzes, each one worth 2%. That sounds like a small amount, but if you complete the course and you've missed 5 quizzes, there's 10% of your final exam or final mark gone. So be mindful of that. So try not to lose any marks there. It's a very easy 20% to get. So, make sure that you make the most of it. So you do have 2 lab assignments. These are done completely online. And so one is due May 13th and one is due May 27th, and both before 5 p.m. So all these due dates and times are going to be housed also up here in your calendar. I'll show you that in a minute. So your final exam is to be written the week of June 23rd. So again, you have to write during that week, and it is closed book, so you have to book an invigilator. So within the exam itself, 50% of the points on the exam will be from weeks 7 to 10, and then 25% each for weeks 1 to 3 and 4 to 6. So this is a 2-hour closed book exam. So here's our schedule. So this will show you roughly the number of hours I expect you to put in, the textbook sections, and then the specific pages. So I do expect you to put in a fair amount of time here. There's your dates again for your midterms, and then your final exam. So lastly, for academic offenses, so please have a look at this. So these UMB policies do apply to you, even though this course is not a credit course. They do apply to you. And so unfortunately, I have had instances where students for their midterm exams will copy and paste from a website, and that becomes a big issue, right? At the very least, you can lose all your points for that exam or that question, and it can go from there. And so just be careful not to break those rules, right? It just comes down to ethics. So that's your syllabus. I'm going to come up here and click on Start Here again. So your Getting Started video, I'm going to be replacing this because our dates will be accurate. That's what I'm recording right now. This is a survey to let me know what you liked and didn't like about the course. Here is your YouTube playlist. So if we click on that, it'll take you to YouTube. And here's your UMB University Prep Biology. So there's 12 videos here. And you'll see that each one can be anywhere from kind of 20 minutes to over an hour. Take your time with these, because this is what I really want you to know, because you're going to notice that the PowerPoints are longer. These are like a compressed lecture. So the slides that I skip and don't do in lecture, in the recorded one, I want you to know, but aren't the most important part. So back here again. So because I teach 6 other UMB courses that are 4-credit courses, so I teach a first-year biology, I teach anatomy, physiology, 2 pathophysiology courses, and a microbiology, I often, very often, get questions about how best to study. And so I created this YouTube video to try and share my favorite topics, my favorite ideas for studying. And so in your playlist, it's down here at the very bottom. It's only about 21 minutes long, and it really does have my best advice. I would recommend watching it. Here's a big one, right? Booking your exams. And so when you click this link, this is going to take you to a form that you fill out, which indicates where you're going to write, what time and day you're going to write, and what campus. And so if you're writing on Fredericton or St. John, then you use the form. If you're not, and it says it right here, if you're unable to write in Fredericton or St. John, please contact Shannon Brewer. Now, you're only having to book your final exam, right? Your midterm exams are not invigilated, and therefore you do them at your own time, anywhere you want to, doesn't matter. But because, again, your final exam is in June, and June is right in the middle of our summer term, I really would recommend that you book your final exam as soon as possible. The free seats in Fredericton and St. John do fill up quite rapidly. So I wouldn't wait past week 3, week 4 at the very, very latest. You have to give them at least 2 weeks to do the paperwork. So if you can't write in Fredericton and St. John, please contact Shannon Brewer and she can guide you. All right, so if you click over here, you can see there's the table of contents. So there's 124 items. There's the mini lectures, and there they are there. So with these mini lectures, what I'm sharing with you here is the condensed PowerPoint, which means it's going to be identical to what's in the summary, right, in that lecture. Again, that's the link to the YouTube lecture. So this is different from what you're going to see when you come down here and click on your week 1 folder. So again, in the mini lecture folder, you have each week, and then in the week folder, you have different files as well. So here you see the full PowerPoint, so unedited, right? It's everything I want you to know, where the condensed one that you see in the mini lectures is kind of the most important stuff. So here you have both PowerPoint and PDF versions of the full PowerPoint for Chapter 7. And here you have the next part as well. Here's the link you have to use for your virtual microscope and your microscope assignment. So this microscope assignment has to be completed and put into the Dropbox by May 13th at 5 o'clock. So this is worth 5% of your final grade. So it really is important that you do it and submit it on time. You can do it anytime between now and May 13th. And it doesn't take too long to do. Shouldn't be any more than kind of 20-30 minutes at the max. So it's well worth your time for 5% towards your final. And here's your quiz. So in each of these weekly folders, you're going to have everything you need to do for that week. So here's your quiz. Again, you have half an hour to do them once you open them up. And you can do them anytime between today and next Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. So every quiz will open at 8 a.m. and close the following Monday morning at 8 a.m. So sometimes because people lose track of these over the weekend, I do recommend that you try to get them done before the end of the week, kind of Friday, because the weekend, everything kind of gets thrown up in the air, right? So the kids aren't in school, you know, it's time to relax and catch up on laundry and dishes, unfortunately. And so it's better to try and have it done by Thursday, Friday, so you don't forget about it and then kind of come into your course Monday morning and think, oh shoot. So here are some worksheets. The worksheets are very helpful. Just keep in mind that you don't have to do them. So if you start working on them and you're getting frustrated, ask for help, but don't invest too much time unless you're really finding that they're helping you remember the information. So this kind of information, so this kind of set of files, is going to be pretty much what you see in every week, with the exception of your microscope stuff, because that's just in this week. So if I jump to week 2, you're going to see that we have PowerPoints and PDF, and we have our quiz. Week 3, PowerPoints, PDF, our quiz, and this time we have our genetics lab, which is our second lab assignment. So this is the Word doc that you'll use to do your assignment, and again, there's the Dropbox where you're going to put it in. This time your due date is May 27th, and again at 5 p.m. So all of the rest of the files are the same, with the exception of week 10. So week 10, we've kind of covered the course content, so I've given you 2 articles that I'd like you to read, and this time your week 10 quiz is really a review of the first 9 weeks. So there's no new information here. I'm simply kind of preparing you for your final exam. Because again, the final exam is cumulative. When you go to write your exams, if you scroll way down here to the bottom, you'll see that your midterm exams are here. So once you open them and click Start Quiz, the timer starts. Even if you log off and come back on, the timer is still counting. So don't do that. Make sure you're ready to start when you hit that Start Quiz button, because you have 1 hour. For your final exam, again, it's going to be the same. The final is, if I click here, right, the final exam is password protected. So the password will be given to your invigilator so whoever's monitoring your exam, and otherwise you won't be able to access it. So if you click on it by accident, don't freak out. You won't be able to get into it anyway because you won't have the password. So that's really the table of contents for the course. So now I want to give you a quick tour of D2L. And I'm going to do that by using the student settings. So Course Home is always a nice button to use if you get into a subfolder of a subfolder of a subfolder and you're kind of lost. If you come up here and click Course Home or Content, it'll take you back to this page, or it'll take you to this page. And either way, you can find your way back around. So you can see here, we're looking at the final exam, but if I click on Table of Contents, I'll see everything for the whole course. So it makes it a little bit easier. The other feature I want you to look at is the virtual classroom. So the virtual classroom is the online classroom that I'm going to use for all our tutorials. So when you click this, it's going to load. Here we go. And so when you click this, what it's going to do is, there we go. It'll bring you to this page. So right now we don't have any active meetings. So I will be adding a meeting to this. And so you would just simply click on this when the time is right, 8:30 to 9:30 Wednesday nights, and it'll log you in. Keep in mind that this program doesn't like Safari or Internet Explorer. Chrome or Firefox are really what you have to use. There also is an app you can use for this, which is quite handy. And I will be using a mic to talk to you. So if you have a mic and you want to talk back, rather than just type, like in a chat room, you're more than welcome to do that. We usually just kind of talk one at a time. So that's our virtual classroom. This is also where I'll meet you one-on-one if you book a time with me. So for assessments, you'll see assignments. So in assignments, this is where you're going to drop your microscope assignment, your genetics lab. You'll see your mark here as well. And then you can also, if you're working on the worksheets and you want to see some answers, upload your worksheets here and I'll have a look at them and give you feedback. I don't share the answers because then people just work on the answers. They just study the worksheets, they don't actually do the work. So back up to assessments. For your grades, you click there, you'll see all of your grades. So for all of the quizzes and everything else to date. For quizzes, here's all your quizzes. So here's your current quiz, right? The one you're working on this week. Again, it's due Monday at 8 a.m. And for every other quiz, you'll see the availability and the due date. So again, you will not have access to the quizzes after this date, right? So quiz 2 will expire April 29th, 3 May 6th, and on and on and on. So other things down here, the rubrics and self-assessments, I don't really use. The survey is that course evaluation I was showing you earlier. For communication, we do have a chat and there's a discussion board. And so on the discussion board, if you have a question that you don't mind other people in the course seeing, feel free to post it there because chances are if you have that question, others do too. But as always, if you want to message me privately, you can click there and email me directly. So for resources, we have our calendar, and really that's the only one that I use for this course. So in the calendar, so again, there's lots of different views here. So there's agenda, day, week, month, and list. I tend to use list. So unfortunately, what you're seeing is all of my events from way back when. But if we do a quick flip here, you'll see that, here we go. So week 1 quiz, availability ends, week 2 quiz. So this is where you're really going to see, right? Just the stuff for your course. And you'll see as it comes down, there's your week 10 quiz. This is when that survey will end, that course evaluation survey, and that's when your final exam availability will end. So this is a really great feature. I always recommend students, whatever kind of calendar you use or planner, agenda, whatever it is you use, make sure to write down all of these deadlines because you don't want to lose track of them. Again, you want to make sure that you make the most out of this course because you're obviously taking this for a reason. Whether you're trying to get into a program, whether this is a prereq, or even if it's just out of curiosity, right, out of interest, you want to make the most of your time here. You've spent money, you're investing your time. Let's make sure you get the most out of it. So back up to the front, we're kind of done with course resources. This help button is also very handy. So in here, it'll check your computer. So if you have an older computer, or really any computer, it really doesn't hurt to click that, and it's going to check all of the different parts of your computer to see if they're compatible with the different functions on D2L. You don't want to start a quiz and then have a technical issue, right? So this will avoid that. So again, sample quiz, test your computer. So again, kind of making sure your computer will work. So learning resources website. So this is great for kind of doing what I just did, right? It'll give you a tour of D2L, help you understand it a little bit better. So there's help for instructors, help for students, contact help desk if you're having an issue. So video overview for students. So again, kind of showing you how to use the program, and then more for instructors. So with that, really, if I go back to course home, you come back to the main page, the only other function I was going to show you was the news function. So this here is just simply saying, you know, hi, welcome to the course. Make sure to go to the Start Here folder and watch that Getting Started video, which you're doing right now. Good on you. And you may see me post other things in the news as the course goes on, but I won't use it a whole lot, just if something comes up unexpectedly. Last thing to note, the tutorials are not mandatory. I do find because I offer the recorded lectures, my attendance at the tutorials fluctuates, but we always have a good conversation, whether it's directly related to the course content or whether it's more in general about biology or what have you. So with that, I'm going to end the video, and I look forward to meeting you online in the coming weeks.